Good. All right. Good morning. Uh, I'm just waiting on our Instagram to connect. I have a little connection problem on Instagram for some reason, but I believe that we're live here on Live Studio. So I'm gonna just hang on. I said 6:30 and it's 6:29. So I'm gonna give one more second. All right. Good. Now Instagram finally connected. So just going to wait until, okay, we're at 6:30. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started this morning and just welcome all of you. Hey, Renee, Auntie Nay, good to see you this morning. And Jessica Nunez, we got all of our Beachbody ladies. They're up and at 'em this morning. Hey, Carly, good morning. God bless you. And good to see you guys. And I'm praying that your week has been going good. I can't believe, hey, Cheryl, good to see you again. Can't believe it's Friday already. In my house, we take turns. Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Tamara. In my house, we take turns cooking breakfast every morning. And I know you know it, right? Good morning, Courtney. God bless you. And Courtney, I think it was you that posed the question on Facebook about clickers and remotes. And the idea of a clicker makes no sense to me because remote controls have not clicked since like the 70s. So I don't understand. But good morning, Roger. Good morning, Megan. God bless you. God bless you guys. More people are kind of joining on. But anyway, what I was saying was, we take turns cooking breakfast, and Friday is my day off. So Friday is my day to do breakfast, and so I couldn't believe it. Jeanette just reminded me before we went to bed last night. She said, "You're on breakfast in the morning, and we have a real early appointment we got to get to as well." And so I was like, "Are you kidding me? How did it get to be Friday already?" Like a flash in the pan. And life is just it doesn't matter. Like you're in quarantine, you're not in quarantine, whatever. It just is flying by. But in any case, hey, I wanted to just say I don't see her on right now, but a lot of times when I go back and I look at some of the comments later in the morning, I see Julie Chandler on, and she usually pops on really early, but I don't see her in the feed. So Julie, if you're out there, I always want to say hi to you, and I just don't see you until the playback. But anyway, just saying hi to you too. But I want to just kind of pose this question today because it's one that we could really wrestle with, and we can actually spend a lot of time on it. I'm not going to do that, but here's the question: have you ever wondered why? You're praying and praying, and you got the faith of David, man. And you got the faith of Job, the patience and the faith, and you're trusting God, but the circumstances just don't change. In fact, sometimes they even seem to get worse. And if you're praying that that situation be removed and that situation stays, or you're praying for something to happen and nothing happens, and you're just and what can start happening is you feel like you're doing everything right. You're like, Lord, I'm checking the boxes. I mean, I'm going to church. I'm praying. I'm in your word. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Where are you? Good morning, Dee. God bless. And you can really start getting frustrated in your faith because you feel like your prayers are ineffective. And I want to tell you that sometimes what God is doing is, hey, good morning, Paula. Sometimes God is shaping you on His timetable, and He's bringing you to where He wants you to be, little by little. And that's why I entitled this "Little by Little" today. And so, what is God's ultimate goal? God's ultimate goal is for us to be like Christ, His Son. His goal is for us because Jesus is perfect, right? And so He wants us to operate in that realm, in that place. And so he wants your prayers to be supernatural. He wants you to lay hands on the sick and they be healed. He wants you to pray and raise people from the dead. He wants you to be empowered to deliver people from evil spirits. He wants you to speak to mountains and see those mountains move. He wants you to have that kind of faith, but that kind of power doesn't always present itself right away. Sometimes there's a process that's involved, and there's a reason for, hey Jesse, there's a reason for that process. And the reason is this, is that we don't, hey, what's up, John? We don't see everything. We see what's only in front of us. In other words, our perspective is usually very linear, but God is looking at the totality of our life, the totality of our life from eternity's perspective. And it reminded me of the children of Israel. Remember when Moses goes to Egypt and he says to Pharaoh, let my people go, and the big Exodus, that's the whole second book of the Bible, is the book of Exodus, and now they're in the wilderness, and we know they end up being in the wilderness for 40 years. Good morning, Elizabeth. And then they cross the Jordan after 40 years, and they go into the promise, right? The promised land, the land flowing of milk and honey. And man, like, to me, look at me, I'm bouncing like I'm in church. If I'm one of the kids of Israel, and we've been dealing with this for 40 years, and now we're going into our promise, what I'm expecting from God is to pave the way. I'm looking for us to walk into the promised land, and it's just bounty for us, right? I think about our building project at the church, which is now rolling into its third year. We're in our third year now, just negotiating out this land. It is so frustrating at times. But see, what I have to understand is the same thing that the children of Israel had to learn, is that when they got into the promised land, it wasn't doors wide open and go and just enjoy. What it was, the first thing that they came across was walls, a fortified city, Judah, not Judah. They had to go in, and they had to march around the Jericho. They had to march around the walls of Jericho, not once, but once a day for 6 days, and 7 times on the 7th day. And then they shouted, and the walls came down, and there was many enemies that were still in the land, and they had to fight. They're in their promised land, and these people who have been wanderers for all these years are now suddenly soldiers, and they're having to completely change in order to maintain the land that's been promised to them. And I'm like, why? And God gives some real amazing insight in Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 22. And I want to read that to you and then comment on it really quick this morning. It says this, it says, the Lord your God will drive out those nations before you, little by little. But watch this. You will not be allowed to eliminate them all at once, or the wild animals will multiply around you. Now, come on, think about this. There was a purpose. God had a purpose for letting certain people groups stay in the promised land for a period of time, because those people were helping God's people by inadvertently managing the land, farming the land, and maintaining the animal population, the wild animal population that was around there. And what God's saying is, if I let you just walk in and I just wipe out all the enemies all at once, then the then the animals that are around you are going to overrun you. You won't be able to they're going to come, they're going to eat up your fields, they're going to attack your people, they're going to steal your children, they're going to do what wild animals do. So in other words, sometimes your enemy is still in your land because he's protecting you inadvertently from a greater enemy. You just can't see it because your perspective is linear. It's not eternal. And so my challenge to you today is that as we are living out our promise day by day, there's going to be struggles and trials. Jesus warns us of this. I preach about it all the time. There's no shortage of persecution, trials, tribulations, tests, hardships of every kind. That is clear. We are going to have that. But one day we are going to enter into our promise in heaven. And while we are following Jesus Christ, there are going to be people that are in our life and in our situations and at our work and in the way of our ministry and struggles and hardships. And we can think, Lord, why is this here? And it may seem like it makes no sense to us that Jericho's walls are in front of me. These impenetrable walls are in front of me. Why is this in my promise? But what God is actually doing is he's protecting you. Most of the time, it's just a protection from a greater enemy, one that you can't control, one that lurks in the dark of the night, principalities and powers and rulers in dark places that are being managed by somebody else so that you can focus on the battle that you have in front of you right now. And so I want to just tell you that even though it may seem dark and even though it may seem difficult, God is still at work in you, and he's at work in the quiet places of your life, even if you don't realize it. Listen, God never gives up on us. God's plan is the master plan. And so as we continue to trust in him and focus on him and lean on him through this quarantine, we can say this, Lord, why this quarantine? Well, you know what? Could it be that there's a greater eternal purpose for him allowing this to keep us sequestered to our homes and things? So I just wanted to throw that little nugget out there, and I know that it encourages me because sometimes, like I said, with the land and sometimes when situations come up where I see my buddy Dan is on here, and I'm like, Dan, I'm like, God, why does Dan have to move all the way up near Canada, and why can't we be like things like this? And we ask God why, and his answer is my ways are greater than your ways, and my thoughts are greater than your thoughts, and you need to not question me. You need to trust me, because one day you're going to be in heaven in the place where I am with you. In fact, I've been in that place preparing it for you, and one day you're going to be there with me for all eternity. And so you just keep trusting the process. And so I pray that is a blessing. Hey, Matt, good to see you, buddy. God bless you. See you, Jim, Herbert, man. God bless you guys. Cheryl got some good comments there on Instagram. But listen, I want you guys to know I really love you. I thank you for jumping on today. I feel like these devotions go so fast, and thank you. Thanks for that amen there, Paula. And I feel like these go so fast, but I've already been on for 12 minutes, and I want to make it palatable for people to watch later. So thank you so much. Continue. I'm praying for you guys. Continue to pray and believe and trust God. He's with you in every step of your life. All right. God bless, and we'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.